continue with the fourth chapter from your economics book of grade 12, and the name of the chapter is Elasticity of Demand. And today we are going to start from factors affecting price elasticity of demand. It is important to know why demand of some goods is more elastic while the other is less elastic. If a commodity has many close substitutes, its demand is likely to be elastic. Even a small fall in price will include more people to buy this commodity rather than its substitute. On the other hand, if a good has no or poor substitute, the demand for it would be inelastic. Like for example, if you're not having any substitute. If you're not having any substitute or poor substitute, the demand is inelastic. And if you're having a substitute, the demand is elastic. So, we're having substitute like tea, coffee, Pepsi, Coke, all these other substitutable goods. And you can say non-substitutable, or we're not having so close substitute, that is salt, sugar, milk, all these are coming into it. Number 2, nature of the commodity. First, we have to categorize the commodities, that whatever we are using, whether it is a necessary item, it is a comfort providing item, or it is a luxurious item. Okay. Price elasticity of demand is the nature of the commodity, that is whether it is the necessary or a luxury or a commodity of comfort. Commodities of luxuries and comfort are not essential for existence. Their consumption can be postponed. The demand for necessities is inelastic. So, no matter if the price is increasing or decreasing, it is necessary for us. It is needed for our survival to utilize or use the necessary items. So, the demand for the necessary items, even if the price is increasing or decreasing, the demand does not change as much. So, we can say it is inelastic in its nature. Whereas, the demand for the comfort and the luxurious items changes with its price, because it is not necessary, it is not essential for our survival. So, with the change, the people can increase or decrease their demand. So, that is the elasticity nature of a demand. Next is number 3, proportion of the income spent. So, here they are talking about how much money from our budget we are spending on that commodity. If we spend less amount of budget on that commodity, the elasticity will be less. And if we are spending more amount from our budget on that commodity, the elasticity will be more. So, let us read. The smaller the portion of income spent on a commodity, the smaller will be the elasticity of demand, and vice versa. Like for example, salt. Higher elasticity since the consumer spends a very highly inelastic since the consumer spends a very small portion of his income on them. The demand of these goods are inelastic. Okay, next number 4, the number of uses of a commodity. Here they are talking about what are the alternative uses of that commodity. Okay, the greater the number of uses of which the commodity can be put to, the greater will be the price elasticity of demand. If a commodity is having multiple, like electricity, it is having multiple you can say utility, or you can say uses, so that will be highly elastic. Okay, that will be more elastic. And the commodities which are not having so much of alternative uses, it will be less elastic. Next, time factor. Price elasticity is generally low in short run as compared to the long run. Price elasticity is very low in the short run period. Why? Because first, there are 2 reasons. First, it takes time for consumer to adjust their taste, preference and habits. The demand of it is inelastic in the short run, because as the product is getting introduced within very short time, it is the product will take some time to adjust itself in the market. Next is, in the long run, the demand will be elastic, as the consumers may switch over to the new substitute. Okay. Next, we are having possibility of postponement of consumption. Demand for a commodity is elastic if its consumption can be postponed. So demand elasticity, they are saying demand of the elasticity, demand of the commodity is elastic when we are postponing it. Like for example, air condition. Okay. And next, goods whose demand cannot be postponed have inelastic demand. Okay, no matter if the price is increasing or decreasing, like food, we have to consume it, so we cannot postpone it, so we are having inelastic demand. Next, price range. Demand of a commodity tends to be inelastic at very high or very low prices. Whenever the product is tagged with very high price or very low price, that time we find that the commodity tends to be inelastic, whereas the elasticity of the commodities which are tagged with a middle range or a moderate range, we will find that it is elastic in nature. Habits of the consumption or the consumers. If consumers are habituated to consume some commodities like cigarette, coffee, etc., they will continue to consume. They will continue to consume some commodities which they have developed their habit. They will continue to consume this even at high price. If the price is increasing also, then also they won't be leaving it because they are habituated to it. The demand for such commodities will be usually inelastic. Even if the price increases, the demand remains the same because it have turned into their habit. So it will be inelastic. Income of the consumer. Normally, rich consumers have inelastic demand. That means if there is an increase or decrease in the price of few commodities, rich people don't get easily affected by it. So their demand remains inelastic in its nature. Poor people is generally elastic, as a change in the price of the commodity will much affect their budget. Poor people is getting affected by the change in the prices. For that, we can find that there is elasticity in their demand. Next, importance of elasticity of demand. Why we are understanding so much of points? What is the importance of it? First point is business decision. The concept of elasticity of demand plays an important role in taking various decisions regarding price and output. For the first place, we have to understand if a farm is trying to, if the organizer or the entrepreneur is trying to run the farm, he will have to take various decisions regarding the price and the output of the commodity. Increase the price or not, the farm should have an idea about price elasticity of demand of the product and its substitute and complements. Okay, they have to have some idea about the substitute goods, the complementary goods present in the market, and if they are changing their price, will their consumers, will the customers remain elastic in nature or they will be inelastic in nature. If they are inelastic in nature, they can change the price, and if they are elastic in nature and they can opt for the substitute easily, then the farm have to wait and cannot change its price so frequently. Next, number 2, importance of monopolist. So let me tell you, monopolist is what is the work of a monopolist? The monopolist will change higher prices for those consumers who have inelastic demand. Okay, so you can say in other word that monopolist will change his price because he will be quite sure that if there is change in price also, the consumers are going to consume it, so it will be inelastic, so he can change it. and he will lower the price for the consumers who have elastic demand. Okay, so he is a person who is selling his product where he is finding that if he increases it in elastic, he will take the decision. Wherever he finds that when it is decreased or what price he must fix, because he is having elastic consumers. Okay, so he will decide according to the elasticity. Determination of factor prices. Elasticity of demand is important in determination of factor prices like wages. If the demand of a labor and the demand of the producer which that labor is to produce happen to be elastic, an attempt by the trade union to increase wage will not succeed. Okay, so if labor is producing some product or some service or giving some service, we can say that if it is elastic in nature, then the owner will not increase its wage, and if it is inelastic, so his wage will get easily increased with the help of the trade union. Importance in the formulation of government policies. If the government wants to impose excise duties or GST with the objective of raising its revenue, it has to have an idea about the price elasticity of demand for the products on which it wants to impose the taxes. So government have to be very well aware that which are the products having inelastic demand. On those they can impose the tax, more of its tax, and the products which is elastic in its nature can be imposed with less amount of tax. Like for example, cigarette is imposed with high rate of tax because it is having inelastic demand. Okay, importance of international trade. The concept of elasticity of demand is also important in the field of international trade. The rate at which exports and imports are exchanged, okay, and consequently gains from international trade in determining the effect of export and import duties on exports and imports, and thereby on the balance of payment. Balance of payment is you can say it is an calculation of the amount we are doing the exchange of the goods, how much we are importing, how much we are exporting, that is totally being calculated, and this is called balance of payment. Next, so in order to do all this work, we have to understand elasticity of demand. Okay, next, number 6, change in the rate of exchange. Rate of exchange refers to the rate at which a unit of one country's currency is exchanged for currency of other country. Okay, the rate of exchange between two currencies can be changed through devaluation, or we can say revaluation. The policy of devaluation or revaluation can be used to control unfavorable balance of payment. Okay, the policy of devaluation will be successful only if the demand of the country's exports and imports is elastic. Incidence of taxation. Incidence of taxations refers to the person who ultimately bear the burden of tax, that is the person who ultimately pays the tax. Okay, the higher the elasticity of demand, the more the incidence of tax on the seller. The more inelastic the demand, the more is the burden of taxation on the buyer of the commodity. So whenever somebody is buying cigarette, you can understand that the person himself is paying the tax for that cigarette. Next, explain of the paradox of penalty. Paradox of penalty is in agriculture, that is a bumper cropping, means the cropping or you can say the cultivation when is in surplus, Okay, bumper cropping brings in small income to the farmers. Bumper cropping rises the income of the farmers, reduces it because of inelastic demand of the agricultural product. Whenever we will find a bumper crop reduces the price of the agriculture because it is drastically produced, and that time that product is available in the market in surplus. Okay, it is because of that the government fixes the minimum prices of the agricultural product. Next, we are having income elasticity of demand. Income elasticity of demand is measured or can be measured on the degree of responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a commodity to a change in the income of the person. How much there will be a change in the quantity demanded if there is, we can say, increase or decrease in the income. So we can say that ratio of the percentage change in the quantity demanded of a commodity to the percentage change in the income of the consumer. This is what we are going to study. So first formula they are saying us, you can see here that the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in income into initial income divided by initial quantity demanded. So this is a formula. With this formula we can find out the income elasticity. Okay, types of income elasticity. First is positive income elasticity. What does this mean? When an increase in income of a consumer, the amount purchased of the good increases, and with the decrease in the income of the consumer, the amount purchased of the good decreases. Here they are talking about the normal good. If we find that the consumer's income is increasing and the purchase of those commodities are also increasing, we are saying it's a normal good. And when the income of that person is decreasing, the purchasing of that commodity is also decreasing with the income. So we are saying it is a normal good. Okay, so first part they are saying income elasticity, that is percentage change in quantity demanded is more than the percentage change in the income. Okay, once again I am repeating, percentage change in quantity demanded is more than the percentage change in the income. Next we are having income inelastic. Income is inelastic. Here we will find the scenario, percentage change in quantity demanded is less than the percentage change in income. So as much the income is rising, the demand is not rising as much. Okay, unitary. I told you in economics you have to remember this, that unitary means equal to 1. Unitary income elasticity. Here they are saying percentage change in quantity demanded is equal to the percentage change in the income. As much the income is increasing, the demand is also increasing. How much it is decreasing, demand is also decreasing. Negative income elasticity of demand. They are talking about the inferior commodities. When the income is increasing, the demand for those commodities are decreasing, and when the income is decreasing, the demand for those commodities is increasing. Okay, they are talking about the inferior commodities. Next we are having zero income elasticity of demand. Zero income elasticity of demand means that if the income is increasing or not increasing, the demand for that commodity remains constant. For example, salt. Okay, next we are having cross elasticity of demand. Cross elasticity, you can say that the change in the price of one commodity will affect the demand of other commodity. So it is having a cross relation. Okay, if one product is changing its price, then it is affecting some other product. Let us see. the quantity demanded of a commodity is influenced by change in not only its own price but also by the change in the price of related commodities. The degree of responsiveness of quantity demanded of one commodity to the change in the price of another commodity is called the cross elasticity of demand. So more precisely we can say cross elasticity of demand is defined as the percentage change in quantity demanded of a commodity with respect to the percentage change in the price of its related commodities. Okay, here they have shown the same thing with a diagram, with the equation here. Next we see types of cross elasticity. Positive cross elasticity of demand. When increase in the price of one commodity, say Y, so we are considering Y have increased its price, leads to the increase in the demand of X. Okay, Y have increased its price, for that demand of X have increased. This is positive cross elasticity of demand. Next we are having negative cross elasticity of demand. This means when price of one commodity, suppose X and Y, let us take once again, when price of X or maybe Y, price of Y is decreasing, the demand of X is increasing. Once again, when the price of Y is decreasing, the demand for X commodity is increasing. Okay, what is zero cross elasticity of demand? Here, whenever the price of one commodity is increasing, it is not affecting any other commodity. Like for example, if the price of tea is increasing, it is not going to affect the demand of TV, refrigerator, right? All these demands are not going to get affected. This is called zero cross elasticity of demand. Hopefully you understood the chapter. Thank you.